Election process and what occurred and what steps have been taken to ameliorate the situation. The court calls forth Mr. John Leonard. It's the way it was presented. Mr. Leonard, you may come forward and speak for 3 minutes under oath. Welcome.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is John Leonard. I live at 2705 Leslie Lane in San Marcos. And I come here today as an unhappy voter. I do have a dog in this fight, this issue of the uncounted votes from the November 8th general election. I have every reason to believe that my vote was not counted, which is particularly galling given my history in civic affairs and the Democratic political party in Hays County, given my efforts to get vote out, given my effort to register voters, given my effort to assure voters and potential voters that every vote would count, given the number of times they've stood up at this podium and spoken to this court and said that every vote should count and had the court agree with me that every vote should count. Unfortunately, in this case, every vote did not count. A number of issues have been raised, a number of allegations have been raised. From people of my own political persuasion, there have been some suggestions that the non-counting of these 1,816 votes, were a partisan political move. I completely reject that. Okay, I have worked with the Hays County Elections Office for 6-7 years. I have worked with Joyce Cowan, I have worked with Jennifer Anderson, I have worked with every staff member of that office. My history in working with these people has demonstrated nothing but professionalism and integrity. And I do not believe that anybody in that office would have acted for partisan reasons in this case. What happened here, as far as I understand it, is that in swapping out a memory card from a voting machine, the memory card was misplaced. It was put in a locked room, but it was forgotten about. And when the votes were counted, the votes that were registered, recorded on that memory card, were not thrown into the full mix of the voting. And when the commissioners were asked to canvass that election, the numbers they were given did not include those 1,816 votes. Similarly, when local jurisdictions, cities, school boards, community college districts, municipal utility districts were asked to canvass those elections, they did not have the entire results. I appreciate the fact that Elections Administrator Anderson has taken efforts to correct the processes here. It was a process failure. It was a human error. The machines did count the votes correctly. The machines did not ignore votes. The machines were not hacked. There is no indication that the machines were tampered with. I appreciate the fact that she has, as I said, gone public. She has met with the Hays County Elections Commission. She has come up with ways to improve and do everything possible to make sure that this problem does not happen again. That does leave us with the problem of the 1,816 votes that were not counted. Okay, unfortunately, when this body, when the Commissioners Court met to canvass this election through the requirements of the Texas Election Code, which said that the Commissioners Court will canvass the precinct results. What were canvassed were technically not the precinct results. What were canvassed were partial precinct results. And while the court did not understand this, I believe that technically the court and the other jurisdictions that did canvass elections were in technical violation of the Texas Election Code because they did not canvass the precinct returns. They canvassed partial precinct returns inadvertently. And I believe that any law that permits legally cast ballots to be excluded is a bad law. And I believe a bad law in that case must be contested. And I urge this court to pursue this issue through the court systems so that these votes can be recorded as official votes in the November 8th, 2016 general election. I urge that this court work with local jurisdictions that relied on results compiled by the county to canvass their elections, to urge them to contest this through the court system. And I also urge you to contact our elected representatives at the state for Hays County, Representative Isaac, Senator Campbell, Senator Zaffarini, because there is still time for them to submit legislation in the current legislative session, which would allow them to correct this, to permit these votes to be counted. In the meantime, I ask that the county publish the results of the uncounted votes on its website and indicate that it is taking action to attempt to make sure that these votes are counted in the official tally. And moving forward, I believe that through courts and through legislation, we can ensure that this does not happen again. And speaking again for myself, and I believe for the additional 1,815 people who are included in the category whose votes were not counted, that these actions would go a long way toward ameliorating the problem of ignoring our votes. And I thank you for your attention. I look forward to your action on this.
Okay, the next person is Matt Oker.
Good morning, Judge, Court. First of all, I want to start off by saying I was led to believe that we would have an actual hearing on this rather than just having the elections administrator on the agenda to tell her side of the story. If that is, in fact, what we're going to have and no opportunity to cross-examine what it is she says or to rebut other than in our 3 minutes, then this will not suffice for what I've been asking for. And I think I can speak for those that agree with me on this issue. This will not suffice. We need an opportunity to rebut the things that she says because, quite frankly, most of what she says, there are holes in it or there are misconceptions. One of the things I would point out to this court is when Ms. Anderson, gave her statement to the public, one of the glaring deficiencies in that statement was she did not address at all the one vote that was cast in opposition to these bond measures. And we still don't know where that vote came from. You know, it's amazing how we had the outgoing elections administrator telling the public and telling the press that, you know, well, they probably didn't press the cast ballot button. You know, these folks they're really not good at voting, so we're not real sure what happened. Well, if you don't know what happened, then keep your mouth shut. But to go out and tell people that we think this is what happened when you have no evidence to back that up is irresponsible. And now we found the 2 votes, so now we're going to make up another story about where we think the one nay vote came from. Interestingly enough, if you look at the contestant's original petition, in this case, 16-2439, you will find that attached as Exhibit A, there is an electronically generated list of the people who are eligible to vote in this election. Now, are y'all going to try to convince me and others out there that somehow ballots are just given at random at the polling place, that these elections volunteers say, oh yeah, give them ballot number 12, give them ballot number 14, whatever? I don't believe that. I think this all comes from a central point, and I think it's all electronically generated and electronically linked. So what's interesting is, as evidence to the court, these people that filed this lawsuit provided a readout that came from the elections office, and there are only 2 names on that list. If there was a third person who was given a ballot, there has to be an electronic link somewhere. Then why is that third name not on that list? Did someone scrub that list after the fact? Do we have tampering with evidence? Do we have people who are not expressing all candor before our courts? These are serious issues. These are the kinds of questions that need to be ferreted out here. And I think I told y'all last time there were about 15 ties that we had in the if you go all the way down to precinct level, just in 2016 elections. The number is actually 32. Now, I realize there are very few elections that are decided by one precinct, but there are some. And we had 32 ties, so one vote would have meant the difference in who got elected or whether a measure passed. So it is very important that we have every vote counted and that every vote is counted where it's supposed to be counted and that we don't let people vote who are unauthorized to vote. Thank you.
That's obnoxious, isn't it? Okay, the next person I have is Craig Young.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Craig Young. I'm from Wimberley. I wanted to address the voting irregularities this morning. The main issue I see is that the story keeps changing, and I know, like in the political game, we like to refer to this as a floating narrative. And I think we really need to get our ducks in a row and address the issue and figure out the problem and get ahead of it. They always say the cover-up's worse than the crime. And I'd like to publicly support the paper ballots initiative, and I'd like to if I go to the poll, I'd like to have a choice in whether I can get a paper ballot or not, because I'm starting to really distrust electronic voting personally. I'd like to offer some unsolicited advice to my Commissioner Conley. With the biggest race of your life on the horizon, I think you should make it your mission to ensure the integrity of the voting process here in Hays County. Perception is everything. And what I'm really concerned about for you is, if anything goes wrong in this next cycle, I won't be the only one pointing out that you inserted one of your political allies in what is supposed to be a nonpartisan administrator position. Thank you.
Okay. James Kohler. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Talk about Hays County. 2 years ago, I filed a felony on the sheriff and a misdemeanor. The DA we had time said, well, no, it's a misunderstanding. Bull. We got elected official in San Marcos. Shouldn't be elected. You don't live in the county, never have lived in the county. It's come for Precinct 1. Precinct 2, guy, he's been charged with theft by check. That's another violation. Precinct 3, he has a long rap sheet. Of course, they pushed him in there. Precinct 4, he'll be taken off commission for law enforcement because he knew that Ellen, who's running Buda, did not live in Hays County. You're supposed to live in Hays County 6 months before you run. So he's in violation with the T-close. So Ellen, he's in there. He didn't live in the county. He still don't live in the county. And he got elected in Buda. So what kind of thing we got here in Hays County? Nobody checks on nothing, or what? Last I got to say, Will Conley, you owe me 22 bucks, and 2 car washes, and you promised to pay me, because it didn't work. I still have not got my $22. And on top of that, if you'll find them signs you had your boys steal from me, bring them back. Thank you.
Okay, I have Mr. Sam Brennan now. Good morning, Mr. Brennan.
Well, good morning. I'm here to follow up from the last 5 weeks. I guess this is 6 that we've been trying to get this conversation heard, and we're having a presentation today, and I hope you all understand that that's not going to be sufficient. We've heard about an investigation that the elections office took on looking into what happened in that last election. I think any good investigation is accompanied by a report. And we don't have any idea what the scope of that investigation was, and we haven't seen any report from it. So to me, it's just words going around. And I think, if I'm trying to put myself in your seat, I try to picture what that responsibility must feel like. I would be the one up there doing my own diligence and diving deep into it and asking all the hard questions and then having it brought into Commissioner's Court to let the people know that everything is going above board and there's nothing to be concerned about. And I think that the behavior or the lack of behavior that we've seen out of this Commissioner's Court on this issue is really troubling, because all you're doing is you're leaving those ideas in our head and you're leaving our very, very valid questions unanswered. And I think the longer we do that on a topic this important, we're damaging the trust of the people for this elected body right here. And when I say we, it's not me and it's not us. You're doing it. So let's get this heard, and I'm looking forward to this presentation. I think ideally when we have this again next time, we're able to ask questions and cross-examine and do all those good things that thinking human beings do. And I'm glad to see you here. It's too bad you have to walk out in the middle of my talk. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. Okay, my next one is Dan Lyon. Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Welcome.
My name's Dan Lyon. I live at 103 Shetland Lane in Hayes County. Thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of this august assembly on the last day of February. I, like many other citizens of Hayes County, am deeply concerned about the integrity of the election process in this county. Quickly on the heels of the anthem debacle, we find out that over 1,800 votes were not counted in the November 8th, 2016 election. In my opinion, this is not the first time that we have had questionable results in an election in Hayes County. Frankly, I did not believe the results of the May 7th Board of Trustees, May 7th, 2016 Board of Trustees election, in which I supposedly received only 30% of the early vote. I expressed my concerns to the then Hayes County Elections Administrator and was told that there was no paper trail on the electronic voting machines and that those were the results. Even in a court of law, you must have at least 2 witnesses to establish a fact. With the ease with which a skilled programmer can change the results of these machines, I do not think that it is acceptable to use this highly vulnerable method of elections. We need to have some sort of paper trail, and I believe an investigation of the November 8th election is also warranted. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, the next one I have is Ariel Axelrod. Are you here, ma'am? Oh, sir? Ariel. I don't think I've heard that name before, except in the courtroom here. Good morning, welcome.
Morning, Judge. I'm Ari Axelrod, and I'm a resident of Hayes County and a retired military officer. I've followed the ongoing election matter for the past few months, and I'm very concerned about the issues that have been brought to light. Overvotes, wrongfully recorded votes, and close to 2,000 lost and uncounted votes are an attack on democracy. The changing narrative and lack of transparency call into question the very integrity of the Hayes County election process. It is the responsibility of this body to call for a formal inquiry into all of these matters and to publish the results and all supporting information collected during the inquiry. Transparency is crucial. Failing to do so tells the public that this body does not care about the votes of Hayes County residents. Ms. Anderson has stated that Hayes County does not have written procedures for conducting elections in Hayes County. While I appreciate that she just assumed her position and was not in office when the election took place, written procedures are necessary to ensure the procedures are uniform, known, and followed throughout Hayes County. You mentioned, Judge, the military earlier. Our military members stand ready to defend our freedoms at home and abroad, and it is incumbent upon this Commissioner's Court to ensure their sacrifices are supported by the Commissioner's Court, ensuring the integrity of the voting process. Having one agenda item on Ms. Anderson's press release is not enough. You must do more. Thank you.
Okay, Ashley Wittenberger.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Judge, Commissioners. I didn't prepare any notes, so if it pleases the court, I'm just going to kind of go off the top of my head here. I think, initially when this issue came up, it was a little bit perplexing, but, I didn't find it too alarming when I first was, read about this issue or heard about it. But what has created the alarm really is the series of actions and inactions that have taken place since this first concerning matter came up, specifically with the anthem med. From the very beginning, when I know Commissioner Jones told a citizen no big deal, we'll get this taken care of. I found that a little bit perplexing. I know in my business, or any time I've dealt with systems or codes or processes, that when an error comes up or a little red flag comes up, especially in a system that can explode in magnitude, your first place to go is what caused that problem. Not to just do a manual override, which in this case, the manual override was the lawsuit filed to just overturn the election, instead of going, wow, I wonder what caused that. Then after that, when citizens began expressing concerns, there's just been a general sentiment of the belittling of those concerns by some in the court. From, last week I recall seeing Commissioner Wisnett roll his eyes and gasp at a concerned citizen. I have sent an email about 5 days ago that I know Ms. Anderson's probably very busy right now, but I haven't received answers to my questions yet. Specific concerns and questions haven't been answered to those who've been speaking up on this. So that's scary, in my opinion. This is our most sacred right, to be able to vote. So I hope that you all, going forward, I'm pleased to see this is even being put on the agenda, but I do believe that's not enough. I believe we need much more detailed investigation, and we need to be able to ask questions. But thank you for putting it on the agenda today, Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Inglesby and Ms. Anderson, for being willing to come out and talk about this. And I hope moving forward that we can have more transparency and integrity in this issue to restore the confidence in the voting process here in Hays County. And I think paper ballots would go a long way towards doing that. So thank you.
Okay. The next person is Mr. Dwayne York. Thank you, Superintendent, for taking your time to speak today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Judge Cobb and Hays County Commissioners. My name is Dwayne York. I live at 1 La Quinta in Wimberley, Texas. I'm here to take this opportunity to speak on behalf and support of Jennifer Anderson. I've known Jennifer and her awesome family for the past 17 plus years. And I first met her whenever she walked into a very challenging job at Wimberley High School. She worked with our disciplinary alternative placement kids who had quite a few challenges academically and socially. And then her second role for the district was as a board of trustee for many years. For those of you that follow Wimberley Independent School District, we have quite a few challenges, most of them financial. And then she served as president of the school board. And during those years, I can honestly say the bottom line about Jennifer is this: she is a young lady of impeccable integrity. Jennifer possesses high moral and ethical standards, and these are just not a bunch of adjectives that I've thrown together in a couple of sentences. I've observed this behavior for years, and if there's anyone capable of repairing the next election cycle, it is Jennifer. And I am very confident that she possesses the organizational and leadership skills and the integrity to do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. York. Are there others that I have not received? It's a little late, but you may. Ms. Naomi Narvaez, speaking under oath.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. This is my first time ever speaking, so I'm a little nervous, but I was supposed to be at the Capitol today. I wanted to go over there and listen to learn how to testify up there. But when I hear about what's going on here, that's a little concerning. No, it's a little more than just a little concerning. It made me think that every day when I go out there to try to get people to vote, we tell them your vote counts. And now I'm hearing that they really didn't. I don't know if my vote counted. It made me wonder which one of y'all up there's vote doesn't count. Commissioner, does yours? I trust you. And it makes me wonder if as a Hispanic, a woman, maybe your vote doesn't count up there? I don't know. But I know that you represent me, and I messaged you and I asked you to please make sure that you look into this. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm not good with numbers. All of y'all know I'll be out there asking people to vote for our candidates. But what I do want to say is this, that there's some justice or some, that little figure up there, and what is equal, we all are supposed to be equal, is that vote. And I find it very important that we do that. And the one thing that keeps coming to my mind, I fight for pro-life issues, I fight for Second Amendment issues, and we know why we have that Second Amendment. It's so that our government does not take over the people. Our votes need to you all need to make sure that our votes count. But every day, March is Texas History Month. We should know that. And there's a little town down in Gonzales, and they had one cannon. And they wanted to take that cannon away, and all I remember is that they said, "Come and take it." Well, that's how I feel about my one vote. I'm going to stand up for those that will not come up here, and I'm going to speak, and I'm going to ask you to please protect that, because each one of those votes should count. And I don't know where the discrepancy is. I don't know what happened exactly. But with all honesty, if that was me, I can guarantee that I would have been fired. Someone needs to be held responsible. Someone should be held accountable. And someone perhaps needs to get removed. I don't know who, but I leave that up to you. And I do ask also that you please give the opportunity for public hearing on this issue. Thank you.
Okay, are there any others? Okay, now if it pleases the court, we will back up and open item number 2, presentation from the Hays County Elections Administrator regarding her press release of February 20th, 2017, as well as other questions. Excuse me, are y'all leaving? Do you not want to hear the presentation? I'm sorry, that's why I thought you were here, to listen to the facts. Okay. As well as other questions recently posed